How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Chavav, Daf 26 of Masechta Kiddushin. Friends, today we're talking about Nechasim Sheish Lemachrayis, Nechasim Shein Lemachrayis, stuff like that. Okay, let's start in Daf Chavav Mudalef all the way at the top at the Mishnah. Nechasim Sheish Lemachrayis. Who can tell me what Nechasim Sheish Lemachrayis are? Karka, property, land. Niknin, Bekesef, V'shtar, V'chazaka can be acquired in one of three ways. With money, you can acquire land with money, that's a valid kinyan. Bishtar, with a document. V'chazaka, by doing some kind of sort of show of ownership, by putting up a fence, a lock, a gate, improving, digging, doing something to show your kind of ownership of the property. She'ein loim achrayis, and property that does not have achrayis, mitaltalin, ein niknin ele b'meshicha, or niknin b'meshicha by drawing them. Okay? I mean, you can also acquire them with like kinin chalifin. But anyways, you can acquire them with meshicha, with drawing them. Okay? Nechasim she'ein loim achrayis, as we've seen in the past, Niknin im nechasim sheish lehem achrayis bekesef uv'shtar v'chazaka. That if you have, a property, you have a field, and on the field there's a pie of pizza, and if you acquire the field with money, with a document, with a chazaka, so then you can also acquire, the pizza pie can come along with it. And also, normally you would not swear about karka. You wouldn't swear, do a shvua on karka. But if you have to do a shvua about, a loan or something, so then you can also do a gilgul shvua. Then once already you're swearing for the metaltalin, we can then at that point also have you swear about the property as well. The nechasim sheyesh lehem achrayis. Somebody's playing music outside. I'm sure it's very, very beautiful. Not beautiful to me at this very moment because I want to focus. All right. Says the Gemara. Bekesef. Wait, seriously though. What the heck are they doing? I guess they're having a good time at my expense. Yanki Lazar. Says the Gemara. Bekesef minolan. Yanki Lazar. So how do I know that property can be acquired with money? So Chizkiah says, Chizkiah Amakra, that the pasuk says, the verse says, Sados bakesef yiknu du. That the pasuk in Yirmiyah says that you will acquire fields with money. But wait, maybe there would also have to be a shtar along with it. The pasuk says that you will also write it and sign it. If it would say yiknu at the end of the phrase, it would mean that you would need money and a document. But now that it says sados bakesef yiknu, and then only afterwards v'chasov basefer v'chasom kesef kani, it means that look, the kesef alone, the money alone, is enough to make the kinyan on the property. Shtar and the document raya ba'al mahu is just a sort of proof of the real acquisition which happened with money, and the document is only sort of to serve as a proof. But the actual kinyan is with kesef alone. Amarav says Rab Loshanu ele b'makom she'en kosvin es lashtar. Now, when we say that kesef, that money alone, can be used to acquire property, that is only in a place where it is not customary to write a document. But in a place where it is customary to not just rely on the money, but to also document it. Lo, kana, then it is not a kinyan until there is also a document provided as well. Parish. But if he himself specifies what his intent is when purchasing the field, well, then it's whatever he specifies. Kiha to Rav Idi bar Oven, like Rav Idi bar Oven, Kizavin Ara, when Rav Idi bar Oven would buy land, Omar, he said, Ibo ino bichaspa ikne. If I want, I could be kone the property with kesef alone. So that, if he's buying a property, just giving the money even before receiving the shtar would be enough to make it his. Ibo ino bishtara ikne. And if I want, then actually I will be waiting for the document. And if I want to go back on the sale prior to receiving the document, I can. So iba bechas beikne di iba isu lemehedar lo matzisu adrisu, right? That he says, right, you could say, look, I have the choice to be kone this field with money alone, so that once I give you the money, if you decide to renege and say that you do not want to sell me the field, it's too late. I already paid and money alone is enough. But at the same time, I reserve the right, v'ba'ina bishtara ikne, if I want, I will say that no, I'm only being koned with the shtar, and prior to receiving the shtar, there's been no kinyan, even though I gave money. D'ba'ina l'mehadar adrana bi, and if I want to be choser, if I want to renege, I can, because I have not yet received the shtar. So it's basically whatever the fellow stipulates. So it's, okay, so I guess by default, it goes based on whatever the minig is where they are. If they normally write documents to accompany sales of money, right? So if you buy a house and you pay, $1,000 for it, and if the custom is to write a document for that, so the kinyan needs the document, and it's not a kinyan without the document until the document is written. But if the minig is that they don't write documents, so then the money alone would be enough. You pay the $1,000, it's your property. And apparently from Ridi Barovin, it sounds like you can also stipulate that the buyer could stipulate that he'll decide. It's in his court. Uvishtar, you can be kone a property with a document. Minolan, how do I know that you could be kone a property with a document alone? If we're going to quote the pasuk that we quoted earlier, that says, oh, there's noise going on outside. Someone's going up the stairs. I think that my noisy neighbors, I think that they're gone. What? Is that them? Please tell me it's not them. Hopefully it's not them. I thought they left. Hopefully they left. If we're going to quote that pasuk from earlier about writing down the document, we explained that pasuk though as saying that the document there was just a proof of purchase, but not actually sort of the instrument of purchase. Rather from the following pasuk, that Yirmiyah says that I took the document of sales. We see that a document alone is able to create a sale. Amar Shmuel, and listen to what Shmuel says. Lo shanu ela bishtar matane. Now, a document alone is enough only as a gift. Okay, if Shimon is gifting his house to Ruvain, he could say, here, Ruvain, here's a gift, and he gives him a document and in it he says, I, Shimon, am gifting my house to Ruvain, and of course Ruvain isn't paying anything for it because it's a gift. But if Shimon was selling his house to Ruvain, well, in that case, lo kana, a document alone is not enough. Ad sheyitein lo damim, until Ruvain pays for the house, because Shimon is expecting money. That if Shimon is selling his house to Ruvain for $1,000, well then, or let's say for $1 million. So if Shimon would just write a document and say, I'm selling my house to Ruvain, he's not, he's waiting for the money. He's not really, intending to give it to Ruvain until he receives $1 million. So, therefore, Shmuel points out that, yes, technically a document alone can work, but, when it comes to a sale, lo kana ad sheyitein lo damim, the kinyan is only going to work once Shimon receives his payment, because, he's not really intending for the sale to be valid until he receives his money. Masir Rav Hamnuna, however, asks a kasha, bishtar ketzad, how is a sale affected with a document? Kosav al anir, if a fellow writes on a piece of paper, al acheres, or on pottery, afal pisha ein boim shavapruta, even though the paper or the pottery is not worth a shavapruta. Sadi mechur lecha, Shimon writes, Ruvain, my field is sold to you. The assumption means, or my field is given to you as a gift. Harezo mechura v'nesuna hu. Well, it is given over to Ruvain. So, I'm sorry, mechura unesuna. So we see that it sounds like whether it's by a sale, whether it's by a gift, a shtar alone works. So humosivla, humefarikla. So Rav Hamnuna asked the kasha, Yochid answered the kasha. B'mocher sadeyu mipnei ra'asa. That it's talking about where Shimon is selling his field because it's a modna field. It's a shvera field. It's a shvacha field. It's not a good field. And therefore, he doesn't need to wait for the money. He wants to get it off his hands, and a document in that case would be enough on its own. Rav Ashi Amar says, Rav Ashi b'matona bikesh litna lo, that actually it's not talking about or. Right? It's not talking about that it's giving as a gift or as a sale. No, it's talking about he's giving it as a gift. Shimon is gifting his field to Reuben. That's what it's talking about in the Brisa. V'lama kasuv lo loshen mecher. So why is he talking about selling it if he's giving it as a gift? K'dei liyapos es kocho, to strengthen the gift. Right? He's saying, Shimon's saying to Reuben, not only am I giving it to you as a gift, it has the force of a sale, that if Levi comes to you, Reuven, and says, hey, Shimon owed me money, and he takes the field away from you, Reuven, you can come to me, because it has the sort of strength of the force of a sale, even though I'm giving it to you as a gift. But however, Shmuel would maintain that a document alone is not enough to create a sale, effect a sale, because the seller is really expecting to receive money, and he's not really being makne it until that money is received. Okay. Where am I? Uv'chazaka. And the other way that a fellow could be kona a field is with a chazaka, that he does epis to the field, puts up a gate, a lock on the door, he does something to kind of show that he's boss. Minol, and how do I know this? Amar Chizkiah says, the pasuk says, Ushvu ba'areichim asher tafastim, and sit in your cities that you have grabbed. But metafastim, how do you grab it? How do you make it yours? Be yeshiva, by sitting in it, by dwelling in it, by showing that it's yours. The Rabbi Shmuel Tana, they taught in the Bismedrish of Rabbi Shmuel, v'yirashtim osav v'shavtim bo, that you will inherit it and you will sit in it. Bama yirashtim b'yeshiva. How did you inherit it? How did it become yours? By sitting in it. V'she'ein lo'em achrayis ein niknin ele b'meshicha, and nechasim she'ein lo'em achrayis are purchased b'meshicha. Okay, if you go to the pizza shop and you buy a pie of pizza, so when does it become yours? When you pick it up and you hold it in your hand and you take the pizza, that's when it becomes yours. Minolan. How do we know this? Tichsiv, as the pasuk says, "V'chisimkru mimkar la'amisecha okanu miyad amisecha." That if you sell epis to your friend, or you buy miyad from the hand of your friends, davar nikna miyad liyad, something that comes from hand to hand, i.e. when you're moishech it, when you chap it around. Interesting. Michael Maimer. Rabbi Yochanan's opinion, however, is that mida oraisa, money actually works. If I go to the pizza shop and I pay money for pizza, paying that money, even though I haven't touched the pizza yet, paying that money is enough to make it mine. So Tana Takanta de Rabban Katani, however, the Tana that mentions that metatlim are niknin, that pizza is niknin is niknes b'meshicha, so the Tana is talking about midrabanan. Meaning, what did Rabbi Yochanan say? Rabbi Yochanan had said, Dvar Torah ma'us konus, that mida oraisa, when I pay for my pizza, the pizza is now mine, even if I haven't touched it. However, midrabanan, we say that is not a valid form of kinyan. We say bi kone b'meshicha, because as Rashi points out, and we saw this in Masechta Gittin, I believe, what was the gzer shemayomar lo nisifu chitecha ba'aliyah? That meaning, if I could, pay you for my pizza, and now it's mine, and then this pizza shop burns down, and I say, hey, where's my pizza? He says, oh, it got burnt down. I mean, he's not gonna not take care of it for you or whatever. I think that was basically the idea, is that, if you take it and it's yours, now it's yours. But if you just pay for it, so then it's not really a priority for him to take care of it. I think that was what it was, or something like that. I don't know. What was the Nisifu Schitecha Balia thing? Wasn't that what it was? It came up with like these like orphans or something that were like selling stuff. And Nisifu Schitecha Balia. I thought that's what it was. Like basically, if you're kona it with kesef, but like the seller still has it, so then I don't know, something about it like getting burnt, because I guess he doesn't care about it anymore because it's not his, or something like. Dag nabbit, do you want me to look it up? Fine, I'll look it up. Yes, so that does seem to be the matzav, that kilu, if I could buy my pizza just by paying for it, right? So I could pay for it over the phone, and now the pizza is mine because I paid for it. And then, if something happens in the pizza shop, so there's going to be no incentive for the pizza shop owner to save your pizza because you already paid for it. And to prevent that matzav, I guess, they say, you know what? Acquire it by going to the pizza shop and schlepping it home. Alright, where are we? So, anyways, according to Rabbi Yochanan, Mida Oraise, money could work to purchase pizza. However, Mida Rabbanan, we said, don't purchase your pizza meaning pay for your pizza, but it doesn't become yours until you take it home with you, to avoid the whole fire in the pizza shop thing. And therefore, when the Mishnah says that pizza is only niknin b'meshicha, it's talking about midirabanan. Midaraisa technically also money, but midirabanan, we say the only way to acquire your pizza is b'meshicha. But I do think you could probably do a kinyan chalifin. I think you'd be able to go to the owner of the pizza shop and give him your pen and say, I want you to pick up my pen, and by picking up my pen, your pizza now belongs to me. Try it. Go to your local pizza shop and give him a pen, and then try to do a kinyan chalifin for your pizza. Alright? And don't tell them that I sent you. Don't mention Babylon Talmud. I want to stay out of controversy. Alright. Now, where are we? What time is it? Okay. What should I do? Excuse me, 1 second. Alright. Now, it says the Gemara. So we said that Nechasim she'ein lehem achrayis, metaltlin, can be acquired by way of Nechasim she'ein lehem achrayis. So if Ruvain buys a field from Shimon, and on the Shimon was a pie, and on the field was a pie of pizza, so Ruvain acquires not just the field, but the pizza too. So, Katani, fine. So, Minani Mili, how do we know this? So, Amar Chizkiah says, Chizkiah the Amar Kah, that we have a posik, V'yitain loem aviyem matones v'gomer, and the father gave them matones, metaltlin, im ari metzuris b'Yehuda, together with these cities. So, you see that the metaltlin were niknis with agav the karka. Ibar, that's the kasha. But inun tzvurim olo. So that's going to be the kasha till the end of the daf today. I'd like to get till halfway through Chav Zayin Amud Aleph. I'd like to get there, okay? So friends, leave me alone. Don't bother me, okay? And that's why, so it basically, well, either way, until the end of today's daf, we're going to be discussing this kasha. I'd like to kind of come to the resolution of it halfway through Chav Zayin Amud Aleph. Therefore, I need everybody's cooperation. So now, so when we say that when Ruvain buys Shimon's field, he also acquires the pizza that's on the field. So does the pizza literally need to be on the field, or could the pizza be in the pizza shop? Shimon's at the pizza shop, he bought a pie of pizza. And now when Ruvain buys Shimon's field, also the pizza in the pizza shop can be thrown in as well. A little bit incentive to buy the field, you get a pie of pizza with it. Does the pie of pizza need to be on the field, or can it be some other place? Rav Yosef says, Rav Yosef Tashma, come near. Rabbi Akiva says, Rabbi Akiva, Karke Kol Shehu. Okay, if you have a piece of property, any amount of property, Chayavis B'Peiru Bikurim. So already, you'd have to separate the corners of the field for the Aniyim. It would be Chayav Bikurim, the first fruits on that field. Right, when it comes to a pruzbol, which we learned about in Masechta Gittin, Tikkun Olam, it comes Shemitah, any loans, Meikra din as we learned with Mark the other day, Shmitas Ksofim, and but to prevent that, whatever it was, to protect the borrowers, they created a pruzba, which means that a loan could be collected from Beis Din even after Shemitah. Now, that would only be loans that were backed up by property. So even if you have property that's any amount, even if it's not the amount that you borrowed, but any amount, you could write a pruzbul on it. And what's relevant for us is that a property of any size, no matter how small, if you purchase that property, you can also be kone nechasim she'ein lemachrayus metaltalin. V'i omart ba'inan tzvurim. And if you're going to say that the metaltalin, that the pizza needs to be on the field, kol shu l'may chazi. What are you going to, you can't fit a pie pizza on a tiny parcel of land, right? It needs to be at least the size of a pizza pie. So if we're talking about a tiny land, how can you be, right? If you're saying that in order, right, what's this, a Mishnah, a Brisa? I don't know, let's say it's a Brisa. So we're saying that a property of any size, you could be kone ima nechasim she'ein lem achrayis. Now, if the nechasim she'ein lem achrayis needs to be on the property itself, well, a tiny, minuscule little property, you can't fit anything on there. So, Targuma Rav Shmuel Bar Bisna, Kamed Rav Yosef, Kegon, for example, Sheno Atzba Machat. Well, you could fit a needle on you could fit a tiny little needle on a tiny little piece of land. Rav Yosef Kibastin. Rav Yosef says, are you kidding me? Ich bol Tana lashminon machat? The Tana is giving us this mitzias of this property to be konen nechasim she'ein lem achrayis for a needle? Says Avashi, well, who says that on that needle is not hanging a pearl? I think Magnisa is a pearl. Let me look that up as well. Yes, it's a pearl. Right? Who says that there's no pearl dangling from that needle that's worth 1,000 zuz? Remember, 1,000 zuz is 192,000 prutas. So, who says that on that needle, on that tiny little land, maybe there isn't a pearl that's worth 192,000 prutas? So, anyways, Babylon, excuse me. Fine. Okay, so again, we're still trying to figure out, do these things have to be physically on the land or not? Tashma coming here. Amar Belazar says, Belazar. Maise be Madoni Echad. There was a Maise with a certain fellow from a place called Madon. Shahayi B'Yushalayim, who was in Jerusalem. With a certain Madoni Shahayi B'Yushalayim, who was in Jerusalem. Shahilo Metaltal and Harbin, he had lots of stuff. Uvikesh Lidnam B'Matan, and he wanted to give them away as a gift. Amrulo, they said to him, Ein lo takono ad sheyaknem al gabe karka, and they said, well, the only way you could do it is if you sell property, and by way of the property, you sell your stuff. Ma'asa, so what did he do? Halach velokach beis sela somach Yerushalayim. So he went and he bought a beis sela close to Jerusalem. And the assumption for now is a beis sela is a tiny, minuscule property the size of a sela coin. The Omar, and this fellow says, Tzvoni Zeh, the northern part of this property, this tiny minuscule property, Lifloni, I'm selling this portion to so-and-so, Ve'imo, and along with that sale, Meyatzon Umeya Chavias, 100 sheep and 100 barrels. Vames, and then he dropped dead. Vikimu is Devarv, and they said, okay, well, that works, right? Sold the property, right? Okay. So, he sold the property, and with it, 100 sheep and 100 barrels. Barrels of what? I don't know, barrels of wine, whiskey, beer, and if you're going to say that these things need to actually be on the property, I understand. What are you going to fit onto a tiny property the size of a coin? 100 sheep and 100 barrels? So, misovat beis sela mamish, to which the Gemara answers, who said, right, once you're assuming that a beis sela is a minuscule property the size of a coin. My sela, what does it mean, a sela? Dinofish tuva. No, it's a very big property that can fit 100 sheep and 100 barrels. V'amai karu le'sela, then why are they calling it a sela? The kashi kesela, it was hard as rock. That's what it was, but it was a big property. You can argue that it fit all the things. Moving on, Tashma. The Amar of Yehuda, Amar Rab, Maise ba'adam echad shechalav Yerushalayim. There was a Maise with a fellow who got sick in Jerusalem. Oy vavoy. Rabbi Lazar, like Rabbi Lazar, the Rabbi Lazar says that the divrei shchiv mira are not kichsuvim v'chimsurim damir, not right. If a shchiv mira, somebody in his deathbed says something, instructs something, it's not automatically. We don't automatically do it. You still have to make a kinyan. Alternatively, you could say he wasn't sick; he was actually healthy, and it's like even though the rabbis say that by shchiv mira you wouldn't have to write it down, but this guy was healthy. This guy in Jerusalem had lots of stuff. He wanted to give them as a gift. They said to him, if you want to give away all your stuff, you're going to have to, sell them by way of land. Sell land, and together with that land, sell this stuff. So what he do? So he bought a small, modest property outside of Jerusalem, enough to plant a quarter of a kav of stuff. And he said, tefach al tefach, that a portion of the property the size of one tefach squared, lifloni, is going to so and so v'imo, and together with this little tefach square property, me'atzonu me'achavius, 100 sheep and 100 barrels. Vames, and he dropped dead. Bekimu chacham is devarav, and the chacham said it's valid. He gave away 100 sheep and 100 barrels. V'amad ba'in svurim, and if you're going to say that they would have to actually be on the physical land, tefach al tefach l'may chazi. What are you going to fit on a tiny piece of property the size of a tefach square? A square tefach. You can't fit 100 sheep and 100 barrels. Sachav ma'iskin, and here what are we talking about? Lidmei. Now you put the money there. You take piles of coins, pile them onto this little modest piece of tefach al tefach space, and that is what he was doing. So he wasn't fitting 100 sheep and 100 barrels. He was taking the value in coins and piling them up there. We want to argue that, and that taka makes sense to explain it that way. Because if it would enter your mind that he was actually putting 100 sheep and 100 barrels, mamish nikninu ni'alei b'chalifin, then why would he have to sell it to him by way of the property? Why not just sell it to him with chalifin? If it was the physical sheep and barrels, just have the guy give you his pen. You pick it up, and by taking his pen, he gets your stuff. So ve'elamai l'dmei, what? So that's your raya? That's your raya? That it must be talking about money? Because otherwise he would have done a kinyan chalifin. Nikninu ni'alei b'mashicha. Well, if it's talking about money, why does the money have to be piled onto that property? Why can't you just be kona b'mashicha? Let the guy take the money. Why does it have to be by way of the property? Ela delayed l'makab matona. The reason why he piled the money onto the property is because the guy who was giving it to wasn't there to take the money. So therefore, you have to use this alternative method. Hachanami delays the makabel matanis. You could say the same thing. That it's not a riot that has to be money. You could argue that it was the actual physical stuff, but the reason why he didn't do a kinyan chalifin was because the guy wasn't there to pick up the pen. When it's kinyan niale agav acher, and okay, but now 1 second, but still, why couldn't you do a kinyan mashicha? Why couldn't somebody else just take it on behalf of the guy who was going to get it? So some chadaite, because the seller was not willing to just have somebody else accept all this property for that other person. So because the seller didn't trust this guy, maybe the guy was going to keep it for himself. What does it mean that there was no other alternative other than to sell it by way of the property? You could have theoretically done a kinyan mashicha. So well, since he didn't trust the guy, well, then his only other option available to him was to sell it by way of the property. But still, we can't say with 100% certainty, if the stuff would actually physically need to be on that property or not. Toshma coming here. There was a Maise with Rabbi Gamliel and the elders Shayu Boim Basfina that they were coming on a boat. Rabbi Gamliel is Canaan. Rabbi Gamliel says to the elders. Isur shani osid lamud. Rabbi Gamliel says, look, I have this produce at home. I haven't yet separated Trumas and Maisus. The Maiser Rishon that I'm going to separate in the future, Nosan lo Yoshua, is for Rabbi Yoshua. Rashi points out that he was a Levi. Umakoma Muskerlo, and the place where that Maiser is rented out. I'm going to rent it out to Rabbi Yoshua. And by way of Rabbi Yeshua renting out this place, he will also get this Meiser. The Isser Acher, and then the Meiser, the next Meiser, which we're going to see in a second, must have been year 3 or 6 of the cycle, so it was Meiser Oni. Shani Osid Lamud, then I'm going to, in the future, separate as Meiser Oni. Nasnul Akiva ben Yosef was given to Rabbi Akiva, Kadeshe Yizakebo Laniim, so that he will accept it on behalf of the Anim, Umukomo Musker Lo, and the property is Musker to him. So we see that Rabbi Akiva was Rabbi Akiva was the Gabbai for the tzedakah, so he would sort of accept it so that he can accept it on behalf of the poor people, and Rabbi Gamliel rented the space where the Meiser Ani was to Rabbi Akiva. So we see that the actual items need to be on the property, right? We're saying that Rabbi Gamliel said, I'm going to rent the area where the Meiser Rishon is to Rabbi Yoshua. I'm going to rent the area where the Meiser Ani is to Rabbi Akiva. So we see that the actual Meiser needs to be on the property that he's renting. So Shani Asim Keichid, no. He didn't technically, right, the Meiser did not need to be on the place that they rented, but the only reason why Rabbi Gamliel did rent them those places is that they wouldn't feel under pressure to like go and grab it quickly when they got back, because after all, they rented it, it's theirs, there's no rush, they can go and take it at a time that feels good, that works for them. Tashma, Kamiriyah to Amarav Bar Yitzchok, says Bar Yitzchok Amarav, Shnei Shtaris Hein, okay, here are 2 examples of documents, Zichu Besade Zo Lifloni, okay, Bimizake, the following field for so-and-so, okay, fine, Rashi says, Ziku Bo Letzarko, okay, so I guess Shimon says to Ruvain, go and be Koneh this land, my property, b'chazaka, on behalf of Levi. V'chizvulo es hashtar, and write for him a document. Chozer b'shtar, so you can renege on the document, right? If he doesn't want to write the document, he doesn't have to write it. But ve'eno chozer basadeh, but the chazaka is a chazaka, right? The field will belong to Levi. But amanash tichtavulo es hashtar. But if what Shimon says is Reuven make a chazaka on the field on behalf of Levi, but it's only going to work together with a document, well then, then he could renege on the document, which would then also be reneging on the field, because the field is not, there's no kinyan until there's also a document in that case. Rav Chia bar Avin Amar, Rav Huna, Shlosha Shtaris. And it says Rav Chia bar Avin Amar, Rav Huna, that there are taka 3 Shtaris. Trey Hada Amaran, the first 2 examples that we just gave, Idach, and the third example is Im Kadam Mochiv V'chasav Lo Ashtar. If the seller, if Shimon wrote the document in advance, even before Reuven had made a chazaka, the shtar was already written. Kosas shaninu, like that which we have learned, kos from shtar lemocher, that scribes can write a document for the seller, even though the buyer is not with him, and the acquisition was going to happen later. You can write the document beforehand. And then once Reuven makes a chazaka on the property, then he also gets the document wherever it is, shmamina lo ba'inat tzvurim ba. So we see, therefore, that the document would not need to be on the property itself, right? Right. We just said that he will, when Reuven makes a chazak on the property, then he will also get the shtar wherever it is. So we see that the shtar, which we're assuming is metaltalin, does not actually need to be on the property. So, and for the Gemara, shiny shtar, no, a shtar is different. The afsir, the arahu, it's like the reins, like a reins of a horse. It's like a way to hold on to the property. It's considered be'etzim part of the property, so it's not actually considered like metaltalin that's being nicknamed in karka. But one second, va'allah katani, but we dafka say about it. Zoe sheshaninu nechasum she'eloi machrais, nicknamed nechasum she'eloi machrais, bekesav b'shtar v'chazak. We say this is punkt, an example of how nechassim she'ein lehem achrayus, metaltalin, and we're saying that this document is metaltalin, is being acquired together with the property that Reuven's making a chazaka on. So we see that it is considered metaltalin, and therefore shmamina lo b'inin tzvurim b'shmamina. So we see therefore that if this is the example of metaltalin she'ein lehem, nechassim she'ein lehem achrayus being nicknamed kesev nechassim she'esh lehem achrayus, and we're saying that the document is some other place, so clearly then it would not have to be, bring back to our example, the pizza would not have to be on the field. The pizza could be in the pizza shop, but when Reuven acquires the field, he also acquires the pizza from the pizza shop. Friends, that was Daf Chavav of Masechta Kiddushin. It actually didn't take that long to do the whole thing. Interesting daf. We talked about property, right? In that property, there are three ways to be called a property: kesef, shtar, chazaka. And then we talked about metaltalin. Metaltalin can be nicknamed with meshicha. There's an interesting opinion of Rabbi Yochanan who says it can even be midoraisa nicknamed with kesef. I think both property and metaltalin can be nicknamed also with a chalifin. But we have a pen. And then we learned a law that we've seen before, right? Nechassim she'ein lehem achrayus, nicknamed nechassim she'yesh lehem achrayus. That when you are kona right, property, you can also be kona pizza. Friends, that was the Chavav Masechta Kiddushin. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.